Hello, kia rana, and welcome to CookieCast, the podcast that's all about the Cook Islands. This is the place to meet people who have their own insight into this Polynesian paradise in the South Pacific. I'm John Roberts, and in this edition, I'm finding out about why the Cook Islands should be on everyone's bucket list, and the challenges of persuading us to visit in the first place. My guest today is Robert Skews, who's in the business of selling the destination through Island Hopper Vacations, who are the largest travel agent in the islands. Rob is joint managing director of the company, and he's been busy promoting the islands to key tour operators in Europe and the USA. Now, it's a pretty far-flung destination for those of us who live in Europe and the US, and it's no easy selling job with so many other fantastic destinations chasing our hard-earned money. So I began by asking Rob to tell me what makes the Cook Islands different from all those other destinations.
I've worked a lot around the Pacific. I've worked in Samoa, Papua New Guinea as well before. I've been in the Cook Islands for the last 35 years, and I have to say that the land tenure system in the Cook Islands is unique, and that the land in perpetuity belongs to the local people, and therefore we don't have the big multinational hotels and that type of thing there. 40% of our accommodation is actually homestays, holiday homes that are owned by local people. So the local people own the industry, and they're not intimidated by the industry. And because of that, they're not shy. And one thing I really like about the Cook Islands, there's no them and us. You're just one person there. And for me, if I go out for dinner, I own one of the bigger businesses there. Somebody will come up, tap you on the shoulder and say, Rob, what are you having for dinner tonight? And there's no them and us, as I say, and you have that in a lot of the islands where you have mixed race and people with money, people without money, and it is all comes back to that ownership of the land. I have a house there where I've lived, and I have a 60-year lease on that house. At the end of that time, I either renew the lease or I walk away and leave the house and the land as it is. So, as I say, forever that land is in the hands of the local people, and that is, to me, is the biggest thing of the island, and makes the Cook Island people own the industry, and that's the difference.
Many people haven't even heard of the Cook Islands, let alone considered visiting. How do you persuade them to choose it over better-known destinations such as the ones you mentioned, Hawaii, Fiji, and a host of others?
It is unique, and that is why we often come up here with the other islands, because there is a perception that let's go down to the Pacific and let's go down to an island. And by coming up here with Tahiti, Fiji, Cook Islands, Vanuatu, Samoa, we are educating the industry. We're educating them that there is a difference, and we can sell the difference of each island.
Rarotonga is the gateway and the most visited island, but there are 12 other inhabited islands, not easy or cheap to get to some of them.
No.
So what potential do you see in those other islands attracting tourists?
Well, we have our Trailblazers of the Northern Group package that we operate, and that goes up to Puka Puka, Manahiki, and Tongareva or Penryn. It's a 4-day trip with the private jet and a guide. It's quite expensive, but it's a 2.5-hour jet flight to get up to that northern group. The southern group islands have small accommodations on them, maybe 4 to 6 rooms on the island. So quite often when you go there, you could be the only tourists on the island. They are more accessible, and some have more infrastructure than others. Mangaia, we already mentioned before, has been uplifted 3 times from the seabed, and it has distinctive coral cliffs, and what used to be a lagoon millions of years ago is now in fact the taro growing area in the middle of the island, riddled with caves, limestone caves. And then you've got Achu, which is another island there, has birds on there that you will find nowhere else in the world. And it has become our bird sanctuary island. In the last 15 years, they've eradicated the minor bird, which is very predatory, and the rats on the island. Not they have fruit rats, but not the other rats. And it has become a bird sanctuary for the island. They brought in a parakeet that used to be there many years ago from Tahiti, the only two islands in the world that have it. And we went to Rimatara in Tahiti and spoke to the queen of that island and said, if we could bring some birds across to Achu, if you ever had a cyclone and it wiped out the population, there would be another body of these birds, and that is the case now. We have the kopika bird, which is a small swiftlet. It's an insect catcher, and that flies, catches insects, and then comes back into the cave, and it clicks like a bat to find its nest in the roof of the cave. And its only predator is the coconut crab. And of course, where they nest at the top of the cave, they're quite safe. But again, they're only found in Achu. So each island has its own characteristics. And, tourism that's not for everybody on those islands, but for people that have an interest in that type of thing, it's a real experience.
So do you see different islands offering a different attraction for a different type of visitor, tourist, traveller, however you care to describe them?
Most definitely, and that's how we package them up. We do our packages to those islands, which include meals, because there are no restaurants on the island, or limited restaurants on the island. We include tours because, again, those tour operators are often have another job, and you could go out there, and on the particular day you're there, they may not be available. So, we sort of pre-book that, and we customize, to fit what people are actually looking for.
The islands are attracting more and more visitors, which is good news for companies such as yours. But is there a risk that there could be too many tourists?
Yes. And I think personally that we had that situation just before COVID, and COVID has made us rethink a little bit of how we do it, how we develop our numbers. There is one new property opening in Rarotonga, but there's really nothing else planned. In Aitataki, there was one new property with 15 rooms opened this year, so it's limited development in the islands there. But yeah, we do have a limit, and we as a nation and through the tourism office, we're focusing now on matching the tourist to the island. We're not chasing numbers. We're chasing an experience. We're selling an experience rather than just selling a cheap beach holiday. And that's, where we have to go to protect the land and the people.
So when you say selling an experience, how would you sum that experience up?
Well, there are, various islands you can go to around the Pacific, and I believe that the Cook Islands is quite unique. And I come back to that land tenure because the people own the industry. If you go to some of the other islands and they're overshadowed by foreign investment, by big resorts, that type of thing, we are very much a boutique destination, and that's what we have to maintain. That's a unique selling point for us. We have to keep that. And that is our philosophy as a company. We've been in operation for 35 years and in the islands, and for me, it's my home. Even though I'm not a Cook Islander, that's where I live, where my family, I have great children and great grandchildren there. But it's their livelihood, and I just don't want to see it sold out based on numbers and dollars.
Inevitably, most of the inbound tourism is from New Zealand and Australia because the islands are a relatively short hop away.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously more challenging, if I can put it that way, more difficult to get to the islands from the UK and Europe. How do you go about marketing to places like the UK and Europe, which are so far away?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and that's why we come out here. We do the shows that we're doing now. But I've always been somebody who and I tell my staff the same thing. When you go, you listen, and you listen to what the market is looking for, and you then work what product you can fit to that market. It's not about going out to a market and saying, here's what you need. You have to listen to those markets. And whilst 70% of the business to the Cook Islands comes from New Zealand, our company, 70% of what we bring to the island comes from the Northern Hemisphere. So our focus is up here because people up in this market often have longer holidays, and we can offer them something quite unique and special. And I think people that have been to the Cook Islands will tell you, that experience. It is the feeling that you get from having been there that is something that you really do take away and cherish.
Plenty of food for thought there from Robert Skews. Helping on the promotional tour was his colleague Stephen Doherty, so I thought it'd be fun to throw some quick-fire questions at both of them to get a very personal view on the place they call home and want to share with the world. Robert, one reason to visit the Cook Islands?
The people.
Best thing to do when you're there?
Go to Aitutaki.
Best souvenir to take home?
Black pearl.
Oh, expensive tastes. Your favourite place in the islands?
I think probably Manahiki and the Northern Group.
And one thing most people don't know about the Cook Islands?
Probably the extent, the size of it, the fact that it's almost 2.5 hours flight by jet to get to the Northern Group. It's 15 islands spread across 2 million square kilometres of ocean. It's a massive area of ocean.
Stephen, same set of questions to you. You can't pinch his answers either.
Not a problem.
One reason to visit the Cook Islands?
I have to say the people. Robert's right. It has to be the people.
Best thing to do when you're there?
I'd say it's getting out and about, just exploring, taking your time to visit certain places. Rarotonga, it's 30 kilometres around. Takes 40 minutes. You see it one way, you turn around and go back the other way. Just go out and discover. If you go down someone's driveway and it happens a road and it happens to be someone's driveway, don't be surprised if they invite you in for a cuppa.
One souvenir to take home?
The memories. The absolute memories.
Your favourite place in all the islands?
I'm fortunate that I live on the island of Aitutaki. My grandmother was born on the island of Atsu, and my great-grandfather is from Mangaia. I have a special connection with all three islands, but if I really had a choice, I love Mangaia. There's just something about it that takes me back. The first time I saw the island, I cried because my grandfather was from there.
And one thing most people don't know about the islands?
The thing I'd have to say that people don't know about the islands is you have to experience the Cook Islands to understand who we are and what we are. We have the white sand beaches, the coconut trees, we have the fresh fruit like everybody else does all through the South Pacific. But when you ask somebody to describe the Cook Islands, they can't tell you. They say you need to go and experience to understand what the Cook Islands are.
My thanks to Rob and Stephen. Join me again soon for more unique insights into the Cook Islands through the eyes of those who know them best. That's CookieCast. Thank you for listening.